You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
Sold! Here are the keys to your new home. New beginnings sound exciting. From a new marriage to a new home, having access to legal help comes in handy. With Legal Shield, you can connect with a designated law firm that knows your state laws, helping with prenups, real estate contracts, and even wills and estate planning, starting around $1 a day. Legal Shield. Real lawyers, really affordable. For 10% off your annual subscription, sign up at LegalShield.com today. That's LegalShield.com. Legal Shield does not provide legal representation or advice. See a plan for complete terms.
Hey, gals, I got an idea. Let's do a snippet together. Welcome to Sobriety Snippets for Women Over 40, where we elevate our mindset and trade hangovers for higher consciousness. I'm Becca Jacobson, and I'm thrilled to be back with another snippet for you. Welcome back, my snippet lovers. And if you're new here in Snippet Land, I just love saying this every time. I know I say it a lot, but welcome home. Seriously, if you're a 40-plus woman struggling with alcohol, you have found the place to be. This is where you belong. So welcome home. Gals, today I'm going to introduce you to a phrase that I came up with that I found really clearly defined my own journey before I quit drinking. And this is what I call all or nothing perfectionism. All or nothing perfectionism. I probably don't even have to explain to you what I mean by that, do I? I'll bet you anything. Just by saying that, you're nodding and going, I know what she means by that. This is a trap, isn't it? Well, perfectionism itself is a trap, and it will keep us drinking for years. And it's also something that a lot of gals here in Snippet Land struggle with perfectionism. But if all or nothing perfectionism is your particular brand, then you've got even more difficulty. And so we're just going to unpack this today so that you can just shut it down. The things that we struggle against don't have to take months, weeks, days, years to overcome. When we become aware of these things, we can actually do something about them quite quickly. And I would argue that all or nothing perfectionism is something that you may not have thought about as clearly as you could have. So we're going to do it today. We're going to talk this through, and I'm going to show you why perfectionism will keep you stranded in alcohol land. Gals, one of the things I really want to do here in Snippet Land is normalize the messy middle. I say it over and over. This is a messy journey. If we expect it to be perfect, we're going to give up over and over, whereas someone who's okay with a mess will keep trying. It's all or nothing perfectionism essentially has one golden rule. If I can't do it perfectly, then why bother? Or if I can't do it perfectly, then I might as well just give up. Well, I drank on Friday, so I might as well drink Saturday too. Sound familiar? Or I was going for 30 days, but now I've ruined it, so whatever. I'll just forget I even tried. Let's not talk about it. Let's pretend it never happened. Maybe I'll try again sometime in the future. We don't even set up a time. I used to do this. This was me. I'm describing myself, right? I would get this beautiful plan set up, the day I'm going to quit and what it's all going to look like. And when it wasn't nice and clean and perfect the way I imagined it, what I would end up doing is just sort of, I don't know, shrugging it off and kind of almost pretending like I never even tried. Oh, well, which is another reason we tend to not want to tell anyone. That's another one. Are you the type who secretly tries to quit drinking? Like, you don't tell anyone just in case you fail. Well, I know you are. Come on, you can admit it. I know exactly what that's all about. We want to try, but we failed so many times that we think, look, I'm not going to go announcing this to my partner or my best friend, or I'm just going to quietly try and quit. And if I fail, now this part we don't actually say to ourselves, but it's in our mind. It's there, hidden, if we're honest. If I fail, I don't have to feel embarrassed because I failed. So we try and do it all on our own, very quietly. And I bet you the truth is that nobody actually knows how many times you failed. I can tell you that's true in my case. I mean, I tell you guys all the time how many times I failed. My husband saw me fail thousands and thousands of times over 30 plus years. But it's even more than that because, I mean, many, many times I tried secretly, privately to just quietly quit drinking. Anyway, let's stay focused on the all or nothing perfectionism. It is tied to this, though. When I would get an idea in my head that I'm going to build this new alcohol-free life, and I get myself all geared up and I've got the energy for it and I can visualize it, I see what it's like, and this is how it's going to be. I'm going to quit drinking on this day and it's just going to be clean. Like from that moment on, I am a non-drinker. That's it. And I see my life, I'm exercising, I'm getting healthier, I'm doing it. It's very, very beautiful. But it's way too perfect because it's totally unrealistic because that is not what the journey is like. So the day would come and I would quit, and then a few days later I'd fail. And instead of just picking myself right up again and trying again, I just throw up my hands and put it off till next time, which could be a month later, 6 months later, next year. All or nothing perfectionism is a real trap. The mistake isn't the drink. The mistake is believing one imperfect moment erased all the progress before it. This is really important that I want you gals to know. And it's what I help women do in early sobriety. The beginning of sobriety is what I call survival sobriety. It's messy. It's a mess. It really is. And in fact, it's supposed to be messy. The most valuable thing you can do for yourself right now is just say, okay, it's going to be a mess. I'm okay with making a mess because I'm progressing. But when we expect it to be perfect, we're more likely to quit. That's really what I'm saying. If you expect perfection, you're more likely to quit. And then you waste more time because you have to muster up all your energy to try again. You see it, right? You know what I'm talking about. Sobriety is not like an exam where a pass is perfect and a fail means we've got to start over. Sobriety isn't like that at all. It's learning a completely new way to live. Like when a child's learning to ride a bike, we don't count every fall as starting over. We just count it as learning. Why don't we give ourselves that same grace? We can. Progress is messy by nature. It is not an upward journey. Growth on this path, on the sobriety path, if you can visualize a graph where the line goes slowly up and you're slowly over time on the graph is going up and getting better and better, that's not what the journey's like. It's more like 2 steps forward, 1 back, 3 ahead, 2 more back, 1 forward, 1 back, 2 ahead, 1 back. But we keep going and we end up getting more forward than backward. We are moving upward, but it's just with lots of wobbles. We just have to learn how to go, oh, a wobble. Okay, well, I'm learning. And when we do this correctly, we do learn from each wobble. We really do. The mess is not evidence that you're failing. The mess is evidence that you're learning. And that's why when women come into my world, especially through the Fresh Start Foundations, which I've been talking about a lot lately because it's so exciting, and the women in there are actively expressing relief because they're allowed to be messy, because they're allowing it to be messy, because they're allowed to wobble. When we give ourselves permission to wobble, to do our best, to not be perfect, we can start to learn from every wobble and we can start to see that we are progressing. So if you drink, the verdict isn't I'm hopeless. The verdict is I'm learning. I'm in the middle. I'm trying. I'm progressing. The truth is, if it wasn't messy and you weren't wobbling, it means you're not trying because none of us, now this is really important, gals, nobody, and I can say that nobody on this journey has a perfect beginning. Do you know why I can say that? Because if you have a perfect beginning, you actually don't have a problem with alcohol. I know. I'm going to say that again. If you can just decide one day, you know what, I've had enough, I'm going to quit drinking. And then you do, You don't have a problem with alcohol. In fact, you're not hearing my voice. You're not going to go and find Snippet Land. You're not going to read Quit Lit. You're just going to decide, I'll quit drinking and quit drinking. Do you see my point? That's why I can say with such confidence that you've experienced this mess, but the problem is we don't allow ourselves to just be there.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
Why spend thousands on a basic will when you can get access to legal help for around $1 a day? With Legal Shield, you can put a full estate plan in place, including a will, health directives, and powers of attorney to help protect your family and hard-earned assets. Sign up today at LegalShield.com and get 10% off our annual plans. It's finally simple and affordable. Legal Shield. Real lawyers, really affordable. Sign up at LegalShield.com. That's LegalShield.com. Legal Shield does not provide legal representation or advice. See a plan for complete terms.
So really, today is about giving you permission to just be messy. This perfectionism is a serious problem. And one of the problems with it is that it works in other areas of our life. Not very well, to be honest, but it can work. For example, when I was in grad school, I wanted perfect grades. I wanted to write the perfect papers, do the perfect research. And I could come pretty close to that, because that type of work is not the same as this. And so we can start to believe in perfectionism. We can start to believe that we really can do things in a really clean, neat, tidy way. And maybe we can, but not this. You might be able to do other things that way, but not this. What we do in early sobriety is we celebrate repetitions, not perfection. Instead of asking, how many perfect days have I had? Just ask yourself, how many times did I come back? Am I still here? Because coming back is the real skill. Learning from our mistakes is a real skill. Anyone can have a perfect streak for a while, but resilient women are the ones who keep returning after every stumble. And as you do that, the time that you have sober gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and the stumbles and the mess gets weaker and weaker and weaker till things start tipping in the direction we want them to tip. In the beginning, there's more stumbles than there is good days. But over time, and it only takes a matter of a few weeks, over time, we start seeing the scales tip in our favor, and we see ourselves getting more alcohol-free days than days where we're stumbling. We just have to be patient and just literally accept, okay, here I am. I've arrived. I've got my rubber boots on. I'm ready to be messy. Remember, gals, tiny wins count. Maybe this week you drank 4 nights instead of 7. Well, the old thinking might be, I failed. But no, instead we think, I drank 3 fewer nights than I used to. These are the same facts, only the story around them changed. The woman who keeps getting back up will always beat the woman who's waiting to do it perfectly. So that's why I've been inviting you lately to come and jump in the sandbox and get messy with us, with the gals in Fresh Start. Let's think of it this way. What if the goal isn't to become someone who never stumbles? What if the goal is to become someone who no longer lets a stumble become a surrender? What if the goal is to become someone who doesn't mind the mess, who's okay with a stumble, who can just look at it as evidence, as data that can be analyzed and used for the future? So if you struggle with perfectionism, especially all or nothing perfectionism, I want you to give it some deep thought today. Write in your journal these words: am I an all or nothing perfectionist? You already know. You don't have to think that hard about this. And if you find yourself tending to give up because you haven't done things perfectly, I want you to give yourself permission to be messy, because that is truly the doorway to freedom. I mentioned earlier this week that we are getting ready to do our next book study, and we are. If you've never done a book study here in Snippet Land, I'd love for you to come along on this journey with us. A book study here does not mean that we have to read the book cover to cover or by any means. What we do here is we look at some of the most important personal development and new thought literature from the last 125 years or so. And what we do is we look at how we can apply it in our sobriety journey. As a former English professor, this is a skill that I brought with me over here into podcast land. And it's so much fun for us to mine the wisdom of these deep thinkers and apply their wisdom in our lives. So we're going to look at the 1897 book by Ralph Waldo Trine. Might actually be pronounced Trine. I think it depends on where you come from. I kind of like Trine. Trine. Ralph Waldo Trine. He was named after Emerson, of course, his parents, which makes me love his parents all the more. They actually gave him the name Ralph Waldo, which is a lovely. And Emerson's actually something we haven't done here yet. We might just do that in the future. But for now, we're looking at In Tune with the Infinite by Ralph Waldo Trine, Trine. Gals, you can either buy that book, read it, and get ready, or you can just show up in Snippet Land, and I'm going to walk you through some of the key ideas from that book that will help us on our journey. A book study in Snippet Land does not require a huge amount of effort, but if you are interested in following along, now would be the time to grab that book. We're not starting on Monday. That's the key here. So we're going to put off this book study until the 17th, the week of the 17th of August. That's a couple of weeks from now, because I realize that I really want you to have some information on boundaries and relationships, which ties into perfectionism. If we're people pleasing, which is another one, then it's very hard to set up healthy boundaries. So we're going to talk about boundaries next week, but also the following week, we're going to do nervous system regulation, which is, we've talked a lot about how we don't have a very well-regulated nervous system because alcohol has taken over. But the week after next, we're going to actually dig deep into strategy and techniques and ways in which we can retrain that nervous system that we have. We've created a nervous system that's completely reliant on alcohol and just is so lost all by itself. So I want to cover these topics before we do the book study. I didn't want these to wait. So if you're going to come along for the ride on the book study, you've got until the 17th to prepare, and I'll talk about that some more. Meanwhile, remember, all or nothing perfectionism, there's no room for it in this journey. If you want some help getting through this messy early sobriety, which I call survival sobriety, that is what the Fresh Start Foundations is for. It is a beautiful little group of 40 plus women. We meet once a week on Friday evenings, and the support and love is powerful. And these women are working together, recognizing that they are in the messy beginning of this journey and that that's okay. They're moving 2 steps forward, maybe 1 back, but 2 ahead again. Fresh Start Foundations. The link is in the show notes. I'd love to see you there. Thanks for popping in. Be sure to come back next time so I can keep your head on straight. Sending you buckets of love.
The modern man is fascinating. He has a standing desk. He takes creatine. He listens to podcasts at 2 times the speed. He owns 3 water bottles, and he follows 6 productivity influencers. Then every weekend, he drinks enough alcohol to tranquilize a rhinoceros. If any of this sounds familiar, I'm Shane Raymer, host of That Sober Guy podcast. We talk performance, we talk purpose, we talk leadership, and we talk about building a better life without alcohol. Because the answer isn't another life hack. It's removing the thing that's holding you back. Search That Sober Guy wherever you get your podcasts.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.